All right, everyone. Today is Sunday, September 26th. It's around noon. And if you are tuning in, my name is Rachel Yang. I am from Sacramento, California. I am the host and founder of Project We Inspire. So I'm going to give a few minutes for people to start logging on and viewing our channel or our show today. As you guys can see, we have the wonderful Moon here today. She's from Minnesota. Hello, everyone. So please let us know if you guys can hear us. Okay. Feel free to write in the chat and let us know how you are doing today. Let us know if you can hear us, see us. Hello. Hi. Is it Ki? Hi, Ki. Where are you from? So for now, we're gonna, basically do like an intro, just let you guys know what we're gonna be doing today. We're gonna be talking to Moon, getting to know her a little bit about her story, her journey of becoming an artist, a photographer, and of course the writer that she is today. And then at the end, we will open it up for questions. Hi, Ki, you're from Minnesota, and Guinevere. Thanks. Thank you for letting us know that we sound clear. Can you guys see us okay? We just want to make sure because this is new lighting for me, and we want to make sure that you guys hear us clear and see us clearly. How's everybody doing? I know that COVID, the pandemic, is still pretty active. Are you guys all still wearing masks? Is everybody safe out there? Good, good. Yeah, we most of our let's see, our stores and places are open. The restaurants are open, but everybody is still encouraged to wear masks because the Delta variant has arose in the recent couple months. So I'm assuming that it's pretty much everywhere still. Hopefully, a lot of people are getting vaccinated. Our workplace is requiring everybody by September 30th. So hopefully everybody's getting vaccinated. All right. So I'm going to get started. I know that there's a few people just coming in, but if you're tuning in now, again, my name is Rachel. My Hmong name is Mai. I am from Sacramento, California, and I am the host and founder of Project We Inspire. So we started this project back in November of 2020. And our mission, again, is to interview and highlight stories of unique individuals like Moon and like all the ones that you've seen so far, who overcame barriers, obstacles, and life struggles in order for them to achieve their goals, dreams, and passions. So we hope that each story, all of their journeys, will inspire you and everybody out there to pursue their hopes, their dreams, goals, and all of their passions. So that is the main goal of Project We Inspire. So today I have to say it is beautiful out here in California. I know it's usually hot out here, but it's actually only 72 degrees as we speak. So I love this kind of California weather. I'm not really into the 100 plus hot weather, but I don't really like it cold. So 72 degrees is perfect for me. But I do know that it is 2 p.m. over there, just about in Minnesota where Moon is at. So wherever you are today, thank you for tuning in and listening to us. Again, today I have a special guest that was personally asked from one of my good friends, Chia from Merced. So I really truly want to thank her and all the fans that requested to have me ask Moon to be our guest today. Hi, Linda. So a special shout out to Chia in Merced and all Moon's fans that wanted me to interview Moon today. So we really do hope that our conversation today will give you a little bit more insight about her life and where she comes from and how she is who she is today as an artist. So today, just a little intro about Moon. So Moon Vang, as you guys know, is an author, artist, and photographer. And a recent book called Memoirs of a Haunted Hmong Girl has been trending on Facebook. So if you haven't listened to her book yet, go onto her website or to her Facebook and purchase her audio, right? You're doing the audio versions right now.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
I pre-ordered my version already, so go and pre-order yours. I'm waiting for mine. So her unique keen eye for photography and creative artwork has been on demand and captured many of our audiences and fans' attention in the last 5 to 6 years, and especially the last few weeks since her book came out. As a little girl, Moon decided and was determined that this was her lifelong dream and goal to become an artist. Today, we're going to learn a little bit more about her personal struggles, where her dreams and goals started, and what her next big plans are in the next months and years. So, just want to clarify Moon's full name is Moon Lilith Vang, and her Hmong name is Mai Hova, right?
Yes.
So again, Maiher Moon, welcome to Project We Inspire's Facebook platform and YouTube channel.
Thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be here. I'm very excited because this is actually my first interview since the book launch, so I'm very excited.
Thank you so much, Moon. I feel really honored and privileged to have this opportunity to be your first interviewer since your book launch. So I'm so excited to be a part of your journey. So thank you again, Moon, for taking the time from your super busy schedule, because I see that you're constantly promoting your book and your work. So, I know you're just really busy, but congratulations on all of your success with your book and your artwork.
Thank you.
So let's begin. First, tell us where you're born, or where were you born? How many siblings do you have, and what was your childhood like?
Well, hi everybody. Good Moon. Please do let me know if I speak too much Hmong because I tend to do that. Like when I talk a lot, I tend to switch to like
Yeah.
Hmong. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but hi, my name is Moon. And I I was born in Thailand, but of course now I actually grew up here all my life because my family came here before I was even one. But I have a lot of siblings. I'm like from that typical Hmong family. A lot of siblings. I
Yeah.
have five older sisters, so with me there's six of us, and I also have like six brothers too. So I mean, oh, did I just say I have six brothers? Oh, I'm sorry, mom and dad. Four brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have four brothers, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, I actually grew up in California my whole life, but I just recently moved here to Minnesota in May, so that's where I am now.
That's great. So, you were saying you used to live here in California. What city were you from?
I was in Sacramento.
Oh, wow. So you just recently moved.
Yeah,
Um, and now you're in the Twin Cities, St. Paul
yeah,
or
I'm in St. Paul,
St.
Minnesota.
Paul.
Yeah, I
Okay.
got tired of the fire, so I came to Gulf Snow instead.
Hmm. That's right. Well, thank you so much. And I just want to let everybody know that Moon sent me a bio like all of my guests, and they share a lot of their personal struggles and stories with me. So I go off of their bio. And so I want to go in and just talk about what Moon wrote to me. So here in your bio, Moon, you shared that, quote, for as long as you knew, you had a dream, and you knew that your dream was to become an artist. So what does the definition of a dream mean to you, and how did you know that you're going to become an artist of all things?
um, like okay, so to me, I feel like a dream is, um, I think that like often time okay, it was like to me the definition of a dream, it's like it means that it's something that naturally comes to you, and so it's like
Mhm.
it's indebted in a natural indebted desire to fulfill something. So um I guess it's like it's it's possible to have multiple dreams. Okay, let's
Yes.
not forget that part. But I believe that it's actually something that comes naturally to you, that you would know it is a dream because you want to fulfill it from your natural desire versus fulfilling it for like stability. Because I think that in society that's something that we often get geared towards as children, is to look for stability financially. So that's what it is for me. And I guess my best advice to like young adults and kids that are, going through something like this, is to just remember that in dreams, then you are like the key factor to make the dream come true. Um, as long as is not going to happen versus when you are seeking for stability, a job, everything's set up for you. So just know that it's okay to seek stability, but when you because you are the key factor in fulfilling a dream, seek stability financially, you are probably not going to have time to fulfill your dreams. So it's like a balance between those. So that's what a dream is for me.
Yes, I definitely do admire that, and I also can relate to that. It's so important that uh, we have a dream that not only fulfills our passion and our natural desires, but also creates a good balance of stability. So I understand that, and because that's what our parents will be gay, yeah,
Yes.
so they will look up big or call and what the stuff. So totally is relatable. So of course, we all want to have that dream where we can follow and be passionate about, but also bring an income to support ourselves and our families. Thank you. So, Moon, you also wrote in your bio that I never wavered throughout my childhood years through high school, no matter what anyone said. I was firm on becoming an artist, even with very little support. So, you said that you had this unwavering determination. Where did it come from? And in your opinion, what made you feel like so firm that even with very little support that you were going to become an artist? Because I realize a lot of people who pursue dreams and goals like being an artist, or the non-conventional jobs, right, that they don't have a lot of support. So where did this determination come from, and how did you determine like you were so firm at such a young age?
um Okay, so I think that okay, no, okay, but overall in general, because like you said, when you want to become something that's like sort of like outside of the box or outside of the
Mhm.
norms, as I wanted to become an artist,
Mhm.
and I think that our hesitation to actually go towards what we want it stems from three things, and which is rejection, invalidation, and lack of support. Because um, you know, like for example, like to be transparent, I came from a generation where my parents, what they're just going with the norms of what it is here, and which is tell your kids to become like a doctor, a lawyer,
Mhm.
um, and you just do something that will make money, right? Versus when I told my parents, "Oh, I want to be an artist," and they're kind of like, "What the heck is that?" In my young mind, then I don't know what that is either. It's just like I just know that I naturally like to draw and like to use my imagination for a lot of things, and I know. So I think that it is fear and validation and lack of support that auto you in China, y'all. But somehow my young mind back then was just like, you know what? That is what I'm afraid of, because when you fail, then people are gonna be like, oh, see, I told you, right? But versus, I took it as that, I'm starting this with the results of failing already. Like what I mean by that is like people are already rejecting the idea, they're already invalidating my opinion, and they already don't support me, right? So it's like if you're already at the bottom, there's only really one direction to go, and which is to go up and to go forward. So instead of saying, without the support system that I needed, I just took it as go ochi ora kudu, like people do reject go like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Because in the end, what's the worst? The worst is they're just gonna be like, oh, I told you so, versus what if I did it and something did come from it, so I guess what I'm trying to say is like if you're already starting out with everything you fear that will happen, then like I said, there's really no one's really paying attention anymore, because they already rejected you, so it doesn't even matter. So to me, failing became mistakes, and mistakes became growth, and growth became progress. So yeah, so I think that's where it came from me. Instead of taking the rejection to stop me, I took the rejection as, oh well, I'm just going to do it then.
Yeah, no, I loved your answer, and I'm taking notes because I feel like I'm a student too, and I'm learning. So for those of you who are watching, I'm an avid student of life and education and wherever that I go, and I'm constantly analyzing and looking at things. So uh I saw here that you said we go through as stages of rejection, validation, and lack of support. And you're absolutely right, is if we take the rejection, the lack of support, or the negative into or we internalize it, and we don't take it into motivation, like you said, and put it into growth and progress, then we don't go far with it. So that is very true, I think, in a lot of the things that we do in life. Because usually when we're rejected, we just stop, right? Because we fear, like you said, but I think, like you said, when you actually say, you know what, I'm going to take that and put it into, motivation, into inspiring myself, or putting into things, something that I really love, like what you're doing. And regardless, at the end, okay, all right, but it does make sense though, because at the end of the day, people usually reject things first, and then they'll grow with you once they see the results. So I want to also say here that you wrote, thank you for that. And so you wrote here that you got the typical lecture, just like everyone, right? That you needed to become a doctor, a lawyer. You were even told that it would be better for you to flip burgers, right? Just so that it makes money, right? You wrote here, just so that it makes money, because it's the traditional way. And as long as it's not just an artist, because artists don't make it. And mostly, like you said, only after they're dead, right, they start making money. So I love what you said that, because that is a stereotype, that's a myth too. So from your experience, even after all the typical lectures that you got of becoming a typical doctor, lawyer, or even a person to flip burger, and this is no disrespect for anybody who is a doctor, lawyer, or who actually works in fast food. I was in fast food in Taco Bell for a year and a half, and I loved it. I have the best supervisors, managers. I'm still friends with them on Facebook, so no disrespect to anybody who does that. But this is mainly to focus on that it allowed you to drive yourself to become an artist that you're today. So what wasn't appealing about becoming a doctor, a lawyer, and flipping burgers for you? Why not?
Okay, so I'm gonna like jump on what you said. Like, no disrespect to them, okay?
Yeah.
No, because even I worked in fast food. My first job was I worked at McDonald's. I was flipping burgers, but I think like this is just a good topic to address because it's like a stigma. Like it's very stereotypical, for often like especially for Bemonia, for our parents, Asian family in general. They're usually like they really want you to seek a job or a career that is going to provide you money. So when we say, they tell us to become doctor, lawyers, it's basically, to our parents and their term, it is, to become stable, to have a job and that's stable that can provide you financially. So that's what they mean, but rather than we're saying that, oh, we disrespect those career choices, because I actually have a lot of respect for like our doctors, lawyers, and even people who just like flip burgers now. But this just goes to show like the amount of rejection that we artists go through in this society, because like like I said, I often got the lecture of, oh, you should just become a doctor, a lawyer, and like to the point that even like people are like, like just go flip burgers, just make money, just don't become an artist, because the stigma is that artists don't make it. We eat noodles and airs and we only become something after we're dead. And the sad thing is, like, if you look at like history in artists, that's often what happens. Not all the time, but that's often what happens. Like artists, they don't become anything until they're dead, So or like they no longer do it, then people discover their art and then now they appreciate it, and the artist gets the fame and the amount of attention and love that they should have had when they were producing the art now. So no disrespect to doctors and lawyers, but I think that like what it comes down to for me was when I got those lectures was having self-awareness. It's because I know what I love to do and I know what I wanted to do, so whenever I was being told I need to take another route in life, and like I said, it's often connected to money now. So I, and okay, and And often these lectures come from people who are like really close to you, like like your parents, your family, your uncles. And it took me a while, like because I could have easily taken it as, oh, they don't support me because they don't love me. But it took me a while, but I finally understood that they are often like lecturing me is actually because they care about my well-being. Like one child who's on because they don't understand like what an artist does. And so like I said, it just comes back down to self-awareness, like me being aware of what I truly want to do and what I love to do, and me being aware that their lectures, for me, it's not coming from a negative place, but rather a place that's because they do love me and they care about me and they don't, which is something so but ultimately, in the end, for me, it was that, while they are afraid that I will suffer, that's why they lecture me. I know my self awareness is that I know that I will truly be suffering if I don't do what I truly love to do. So, to put it simply, I chose to fulfill my heart rather than my wallet. And ultimately, it comes down to that cliche self awareness and self awareness of time because, life is short. So, just do what makes you happy.
Yes, thank you for that. I really love the fact that you talk about self-awareness and you talk about doing what is going to fulfill. I'm going to borrow this one day and say it is definitely filling your wallet, filling your heart can be two different things. And hopefully when there's a good balance, you can fulfill what's in your heart and your wallet to
Yes.
survive, that is, right? But definitely having that self-awareness of doing what really truly makes you happy inside. Um, like I think maybe we've talked about this before, or the other guests and I, we've talked about this before, is it's wonderful to wake up every day to do something that you love and you're getting paid for it and people enjoy it, right?
Yes.
And I definitely talk about that when it comes down to my social work and the things that I'm doing now in my field in mental health, because it means that much to me. Like you said, it drives you, right? It gives you that fulfillment in your heart. So it doesn't even feel like working, it just feels like that is who you are. It's what you're meant to do. So thank you for that. So you said here that I'm happy to say that at 30 years of age, I have built my empire brick by brick. I am a thriving artist. This is my full time job, and I'm the creator of my business. And the questions are, please share with us the bricks that you laid into your foundation and in your empire. That's so important for people to know that, um, you know, a lot of people see the end results, but they don't see the steps. They don't see, like you said, the bricks. I love that analogy. What were those bricks that you put into your foundation and your empire?
Okay, so like in simple terms, like if I was to lay it brick by brick, like I said, then to me the first brick is like I said, self-awareness, which actually might be the most important one, is to just know yourself, know your dreams and your desires. And then like the second brick would be like self-love. Now, yeah. And this could be very similar to the first one. And like often I think people would like mix these two, but I feel like they're two very different things because self-awareness, it's just you acknowledging your dreams and what you actually want to do. Self love is actually putting that into action, and which is kind of like the third brick, which to me is action. So like they all kind of go hand in hand, and that's why they are able to come together to build a wall, to build your empire, right? So, self love is to me is putting the self awareness into action. Love yourself enough to give yourself a chance to try, even if it's just try to fulfill at least but at the same time, self love is also being able to forgive yourself if you make a mistake, if you move slower than other people, or just love yourself enough to grow and not give up. Because once you have that, then once you pull it brick by brick, outside forces will never be able to pull that down, push that wall down, right? So like I said, the third brick to me is action. Just do it. You thought about it, you know exactly what you want to do, you love yourself enough to give yourself a chance, so just do it. And so in other words, if we don't say like brick by brick, it's basically step by step, and it's self growth step by step to actually finally be able to do something that goes on y'all. So when I say like build an empire, I don't actually mean like okay, physical business, but it's just building yourself. You are your empire. So yeah.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. You're right. Is the empire is not about the money
Mm-hmm.
portion. It's about yourself, building yourself piece by piece, part by part.
Mm-hmm.
I really love that first thing you said was know yourself. My dad said this to me about 10, 11 years ago before he died.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best things he ever told me was to know yourself, know your dreams, know what you love, and it leads to like what you had said was the self-love. For
Mm-hmm.
sure, if you don't know yourself and you don't love yourself first, and then like you said, put things into action, especially that one dream, right? Of
Yeah.
all things, and forgive yourself when we make mistakes, because we all make mistakes along the way, and we have to love ourselves enough to say it's okay, because mistakes is a part of life, right?
Totally.
So thank you for sharing that, because sometimes I think people forget that these bricks or steps,
Mm-hmm.
it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And the empire, what I love what you said was like the empire that you're talking about and the foundation isn't necessarily always monetary, where it's a house, a car, something physical, but it's also yourself. Your however you want to call it. Some people say their hearts, their spiritual self, their entire
Mm-hmm.
self well-being. So thank you for that. So also you shared that you're a thriving artist and you're not a starving artist. So tell us about your journey, because there are thriving artists and there are starving artists. And of course, like I noted here that for the parents and guardians, because it's really for the parents and guardians or people who are afraid
Mm-hmm.
that kids or loved ones may become starving artists or perhaps not make it enough and may
Mm-hmm.
still need support. So, what advice and steps would you give to them so that they can take this chance of becoming a thriving artist like yourself today?
Okay. So I really, this is just personal for me. Okay. I
Mhm.
actually dislike the term starving artist because often whenever I hear that term growing up, it's like, to me, it's kind of like they're telling you you're not gonna make it. That's what it is associated with me. So, um, and it got to a point where, like, especially in high school, when it's like a college day where college comes over, and they're like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, oh, I want to be an artist. I often get that, like, the instant answer to that is, oh, you're gonna starve, or you're not gonna make it. So to me, like, that term, like, the way I grew up, it's really negative now. So it just got to a point where I actually started to just tell people, like, yeah, I'm fine with that. Like, I'm fine
Mhm.
with to starve as long as I get to become an artist. But so my way of so nowadays, instead of saying I'm going to become a starving artist, nowadays I use the term I'm a thriving artist, because that is my way of taking myself out of that stigma. Because at one point I did accept that. I started saying it before people said it because I already know what they were going to say. So when I say that I am a thriving artist, it actually just means that. Like, that I'm still striving, versus just accepting the stigma that people put me into. So, because the truth is, I may be a thriving artist who may still eat noodles at times, and then
What's
that's
wrong with eating noodles?
yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
you know
noodles
what?
is like
I right. It's like I like. Hey, I like mama noodles. I like
right.
cup of noodles.
There's so
Hey,
many
it's my
flavors out
go-to.
there.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with noodles and eggs and hot dogs. Okay, I
Yes.
like. We grew up on that, so
So
you're right.
yeah, so like when I say that I'm a thriving artist, I'm saying, yeah, sometimes maybe there would be phases where I absolutely just have to eat noodles and air, but the difference is that I am no longer letting other people see that as a failure and no longer letting it affect me. Because, as long as I keep going, even if I don't make money, just the fact that I'm continuing to do what I love, then to me, that's me thriving. So, to all the other artists out there, just as long as you keep going, then you're really not a starving artist. Because to me, the truth is, the only way we're actually starving ourselves is if we don't do what our heart desires. So if you don't follow your dreams just because somebody else told you, then that's when you're actually truly starving yourself. And then that's when you are the starving artist. That's why I don't use that term anymore.
No, that is actually so true. It's no, it is. I didn't even think about it. You just made me think about how important it is when we starve, through our
Mhm.
stomachs, but you can starve your soul and your heart when you don't do the things that you desire and you love. So that's a great analogy of saying that, because when we do starve somewhat, right, or maybe eat a little bit like the noodles and whatever we have, that it's okay. That as long as we're still fulfilling what we desire, what we want. So you
Mhm.
also mentioned here that you are the creator of your business. So many people choose a job and career where they are not their own creators in their work and what they do. And, so in your opinion, why is it important to be a creator or creative in your business?
Um, well, okay, actually, I think that it's important in life to just at least once to just create something from ground up, whether like it's a business or maybe something as simple as um, actually finishing it like bandao and you stitched it yourself. So I feel like it's important to be the creator of something because it actually teaches us a lot about life. It to me it teaches, especially it teaches people to actually appreciate the work that goes into the creation of something, like in which that can be applied to a lot of things we do in daily life, to be kinder, more understanding, and appreciate things na y'all. Like for example, like that there's that term, that cliche that people always say, that you don't know how shitty of a customer you have been unless you have worked in customer service and you're constantly interacting with the customer, and then you start realizing, wow, these people are relentless, and then it would teach you to be more patient and kind next time a cashier messes up your order, gives you like a wrong change, maybe it's just 25 cents. Because you've been through that. So when I, so I feel like this is why it's important to be the creator of something from ground up once, at least once in your life, because it teaches you to be humble and actually, for example, as my career as an artist, like a lot of people, they don't like I say, the lack of support and validation and rejection came from because they don't know what it is, and they're limited to thinking that an artist, so they don't know what it is. That's why they reject it. So being the creator of something, I feel like it would teach you to be much more humble and much more understanding of how much work it goes to one small little project where you just see the end results, but you didn't see the journey there. But once you've gone through the journey, then you will be much kinder and less of a chance for you to reject someone when they approach you with an idea that's like out of the box. So yes, I highly encourage creativity and to just try to create something from the ground up once, even if it's not a business. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yes, definitely, for sure. Having the ability or the time to create something of your own, like you said, just even
Mhm.
picking up a pandao. I mean, I've tried
Mhm.
that. I don't know how many times. My mom knows this. My sister knows this. I can't sew. I don't know. I can't sew. But I do know that I can create other things. But you're
Mhm.
absolutely right. Is the more you are aware in this journey of creating your own business, just like you
Mhm.
said, you don't really know how horrible or shitty of a customer you can be
Mhm.
until you stand behind the counter or
Yes.
you're on the other line and you listen
Mhm.
to how, like you said, how harsh sometimes and demanding how customers can be. And then, like you said, you become more patient, more humble, and
Mhm.
more compassionate. You're like,
Yes.
oh, that's why we get so mad when we don't get our exact change or our order. But you're absolutely right. I go through this a lot. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. Is you learn that sometimes people are having a bad day. People are struggling to learn their jobs, and we want to be, like you said, humble, kind, understanding, so that if things do mess up and you're the receiving end, that you're like, okay,
Mhm.
I just need to take a step back and a break, breathe a little bit. It's okay if they didn't get my order right,
Mhm.
or they shortchanged me $1.25 or whatever, that they will make up for it, or things will get better. So that does make a lot of sense, and I hope that those of you who are listening definitely um, take one project from ground up and create it, and I'm sure you'll all learn,
You're gonna learn a
you know,
lot.
yeah, you learn a lot about yourself, you learn a lot about people, you learn a lot about the process. It is absolutely
Mhm.
a beautiful journey. So here you also mentioned that you said, of course, it did not come without challenges, right? Your sacrifices, literally like the loss of 5 years that you put into your business, everything, like you said, went up into flames and you had to start from ground zero. And I've heard your story already, but please tell
Mhm.
them, yes, given the success that your book has, you know, thrived right now, your photography, you know, your photography business, your artwork, but what were some of those challenges and sacrifices and losses that took you those 5 years to put into your business? Because I think a lot of people don't know, especially when you told me what you had to do, you and your husband had to do to get to where you're at. Please share with the audience, like, well, what happened in this journey?
Okay. It's a long story.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Okay, so I'll tell you guys like the start of like my whole business and my journey, and then I'll go into like how it was challenging and how I have grown from it. But I actually, like, as much as I said, as a kid, I was, very adamant about becoming an artist. Of course, the first challenge was going through like your parents, right? Because every parent's like, become a doctor, become a lawyer, But to me, I was just straight up like, I'm gonna be an artist. And as that child, I was like super unapologetic about it. Every time somebody's like, be a doctor, like even if it was like one of my like prestigious uncles, I'm like, I'm gonna be an artist. I would just argue back with them. But like growing up, you start getting hit with the reality of life and realize how constraining like society is, because now when you're growing up, as you grow up, you're like, wow, I actually need a job. I actually need money to be able to afford rent, to be able to afford things, because as a millennial, okay, you don't see that because your parents provide everything for you. But so the first challenge in my life was, of course, going through that, just going through, the family. And so interesting story is like, throughout high school, I was very adamant about becoming an artist. But at one point when I started realizing, because when you grow up, you go people, go parents who gets on you and their struggles, and so you want to do something about it. And the only way to do something about it is money, right? So I was like, at one point I really started reconsidering myself, because actually at that point in my life, a lot of people were like, oh, becoming an artist is a side hobby, versus go, you need to have a job and then you do art as a side hobby. I actually started, considering that, because I started understanding my parents' struggles and with stability and why it's so important to them. So you grow up and you start having the desire to to make life better for your parents. So I actually applied for a college, a private college, and somehow out of like thousands and thousands of applicants that year, I was okay. Going to a private college, you guys, is not easy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of tests to even be considered to to enter their college. But out of all the applicants, and after going through like 2 to 3 tests that you have to go to the campus and take the test, I was selected for a full ride scholarship for the private college. And but while like my family, my parents were really super proud, because like they sent me like this big certificate and everything, and so it was like super official, and everyone was like, wow, like Moon got like a full ride scholarship to a private college. But I wasn't celebrating. The moment I got that full ride scholarship in my hand, it became really real, that I was like, oh shoot, I have to become this. And then, while everybody was celebrating, I became miserable. And that was the moment I realized that the way I'm feeling now is it's telling me that it's because that's not what I want to do. So what I did was I during that time, this was the time that Shrek came out. And I decided that, okay, I was like, what, 17? I decided that I was like, hey, maybe if I was able to explain to my parents what it is that when I mean that I want to become an artist, right? So like, but I needed to do it in a way that they would understand. It's not that I want to be an animator, but okay, so I put the movie Shrek on, and I'm like, Mom and Dad, come here, we need to talk. And so like I sat my parents down, and they're like, why are you making us watch this?
And how old were you again when you did
I was
this? Because
17.
17.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just to let everybody know, she was 17 years old and she's going to do a presentation with
Yes.
Shrek as her example. So thank you, Shrek.
Thank you, Shrek.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like they were just like, why are you making us watch this? And then so I was like, okay. um so I was trying to explain to them. I was like, do you guys understand that like these people in this movie is not real, right? So they're like, yeah, we know that, right? And I was like, but you see, someone was behind the concept of this. Someone had to sketch it out, someone had to animate it through a computer, someone had to design the color palette. Like I was trying to, like, I broke it down to them, right? And so they were just like listening to me and I was just like, yeah. And a lot of the work goes into this, but that's what an artist does, right? And I'm like, it doesn't mean that I'm just gonna like paint pictures all the time, and that's absolutely what artists do too. But I'm trying to show them that there was much more to being an artist than just being limited to, a painting and you're trying to sell that, right? So then that was when, after I did my whole presentation, I was like, do you guys understand more of what an artist is? And so like my dad was just straight up like, where are you going with this? Because you're making us watch an hour of Shrek and you're just talking and talking. And then so that was when I actually told them that I was going to reject the scholarship and reject going to the private college and attend art school. My mom was not impressed. Because my mom was already like, wow, we told all your uncles and everybody, if it's a because and I was like, mom, one day you will be proud and koko that I rejected that scholarship. I promise you that. I said straight up said that to my mom, just walked away to my room. Yes, but I rejected the full ride scholarship, and I did go to art school for a semester, but my gosh, art school is expensive.
It is. It is. And
Like,
before you go into the art school, I just
mhm,
want everybody to, if you could share with everybody
mhm.
uh, the private school and the major that you were supposed to go in as a full scholarship, because it was kind of the opposite
Mhm.
of what you were pursuing.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite, but it's funny because it's actually sort of what I'm doing now anyway.
Okay. Hey, so maybe
But
that's how it is.
it was into the field of networking. It was
Mhm.
into the field of networking, and it was, oh, see, I don't even remember the cost. I think it was Derive.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, but
No disrespect to Divine, okay?
yeah,
Because I do know some.
I
Yeah.
I'm very happy that you guys chose me for the full ride scholarship, but no disrespect. It was just me. It was me. It's not you. But yes, so I went to art school for a semester, but it was just so expensive. It wasn't because I didn't want to go anymore, but it was the fact that it was so expensive. So I decided to pull out to go to just a regular. I went to just a city college. I went to Sac City,
Mhm.
and I finished my art degree there. But it was actually going through that 4 years of getting my art degree there that I realized I was like halfway through, like first 2 years into it, I'm so sorry to the school system, but the college and the school system is not set up for artists. It's not in our favor. It actually held me back longer than if I was to just do things on my own. And I'm saying this because I feel like the school system is just not in favor. It was the point in my life where I realized that it's not just society, it's not just my parents, it is the school system as well. They are not set up for artists. They're not set up for things outside of the box, And it made me realize this is why everyone rejects artists. This is why everyone rejects careers that's outside the box, because when they go to school, school is, even if they're like, oh yeah, we offer an art degree, um, they don't. They're not setting you. They offer you the degree. They will give you the piece of paper once you take all the classes, but they're not set up for you to actually start a real career in art. So, like 2 years in, I was miserable. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I hated school. No offense to anybody who's going to school, but just in my career field, and it was just not for what I wanted to do. So, but I pushed through because my parents were already disappointed that I didn't go through the full ride scholarships. I was like, I'll get a piece of paper, but I was miserable. And then that's when I really started reconsidering like what can I do to really like take myself out of this system, right? So I got my degree in art. And then during that time I met my husband and I got married as well. And then this is when I got married. This is when real life really started hitting me. And when I meant like real life, I mean like, the struggles of, getting married, and now still struggling to like fulfill this one dream that I've had for so long. So I got married, and then my husband and I, we struggled a lot because we were like 20, 21, I think, when we got married. It's very young, and it's absolutely fine to get married young, you guys. I'm not okay, but it was just for us during that age. I felt like we struggled a lot. Like, so like we're both still going to college. We're both working like minimum paid jobs, and we struggled a lot. And then that's when I would admit that that's the one time in my life where I like 90% dropped wanting to become an artist, and I was 90% into just getting a job, making money so that my husband and I, we can survive, right? um and so then, my husband and I, we got like a small little apartment together. um it was the worst apartment ever. There's roaches from the neighbors. Mice is coming through the pipes. It was a rundown little apartment, but we were happy. And then, like, even more so, like, during that time, honestly, I didn't realize it then, but it was like, now that I reflect on it, I was miserable because I was constantly like quitting jobs and, going to like different jobs, just finding different jobs almost every other month. And at first I was just like, man, I cannot keep a job. But it's actually because the undying flame inside of me to become an artist was still there. Like, I would work somewhere and I would just be so miserable to the point that I'm so depressed. I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna quit this job because maybe I don't like doing this. And no matter what I did, I didn't like doing it because that's not what I wanted to do. So, but I still needed a job, so I'll just go find another job and do something different. So maybe I won't be so miserable. That was the mindset that was then. But like I said, now that I'm here, when I reflect on it, I realize that, oh, it's because 그쪽에 뭐 또 하나요. So of course you're gonna be miserable no matter what you do, no matter how much money you make. So, and then I got pregnant, and then so we were gonna have our first kid, and then that was like even more pressure because now, like, like the elders and the family, they're like, okay, now you really like stop quitting your jobs and 잘 또 하려고 그거, because now a baby's gonna come into your life, and that really does change everything. Okay, so but and then during that time, I was actually working at a studio. As a photographer for a studio, in which that is part of my passion. But when you work at a studio, then of course it's really restrictive what you can do. But I appreciate that job a lot. But I was working at a studio during that time when I got pregnant. And then, so how the studio works is, because we take pictures for schools now. Yeah, so at first you're just taking pictures of students, but and then you're supposed to transition to taking pictures of sports. But I couldn't go into that department because I was like pregnant. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to put you in the field with all those like football players running around, right? So I was actually put on leave for work. And then I was probably like 6, 7 months pregnant. And then of course I'm like, oh shoot, I need to still make money because I have a baby coming. I need to prepare for the baby. I need to pay my rent. So and then my husband was like getting like $11 an hour, and I'm like, how are we going to do this? So I was like applying for jobs and jobs and jobs, like just temporary. It was like around the holidays too, so I thought it was going to be easy to find a job. Of course, the moment they're like, oh, you're 6, 7 months pregnant, they're like, as much as they're like, oh, we don't discriminate, they discriminate. They're like, you're gonna come work for like 2 months and then you're gonna have to leave. So I couldn't find a job, and I was super depressed about it. And but during that time, my husband had bought me like a small little drawing tablet. It's like one of those like Chinese knockoffs, like $40 on eBay. But so one day I was just so depressed about that, and my husband was at work. He worked graveyard shifts. I was often home alone at night. I just couldn't sleep, so I was like, you know what? I finally took that little drawing tablet out of like its case, and so I started drawing. And during this time, I was very aware that my husband was working like extra hard to keep us afloat because and I'm pregnant and we're already to and suffering a lot. And so I just wanted to like do something for him to show him that I appreciate him, right? So I feel like this was the moment that I was finally like getting back to myself, because really digging deep, because I love my husband a lot. So I wanted to do something that so what can I give him? I drew him a whole art series with the drawing tablet, because then that's really me tapping back to what I was passionate about, you know. So I drew him a whole art series, just, you know, because to kill time and to just, you know, get out of my depressive state. And then you know, my husband came home and I showed it to him. He was like, "Oh, these are so cute," you know. And then so I was like, "Oh, maybe I should upload them," you know. So I was like, I uploaded them to my Facebook, and then, you know, you go to bed, and next morning when I woke up, bam, they went viral, and I was like, "What?" Like, I never seen that. It was only like 1,000 shares to 3,000 likes, but you know, like during that time, I was like, "Wow, that's a big number." So I was like, "Oh, people love it," and then people actually started messaging me. They're like, "Oh, do you do like do would you take client work if I request you to like draw something for my husband or like for my wife, you know?" And so I was like, "Oh, you know, maybe this is a way that I can make money to help us during this time when I couldn't find a job, right?" So I was like, "Yeah, sure, I can do that," you know. And then the requests kept coming in and coming in and coming in, and before I knew it, I was drawing full time.
Mhm.
Every waking minute, I was drawing, and then at first, I was like, well, I'm just gonna do it up until my maternity leave in my head. And go by after that, I'm just gonna go back to work, right? But like there were so many requests coming in that I had to like take orders. I was straight up with them. I'm like, you gotta wait like 2 months. And they're like, oh, wait, 2 months. Right? And I was like, whoa, people are
Mhm.
willing to wait for me. So just so they can get something drawn by me, right? So after I, you know, go by with Miyata, and then my old job actually called me back. They're like, oh, you know, you ready to come back? You know? And then so that's when I really had to make a decision. Do I continue this, or do I go back to work and get a stable job with a stable income? Um, my whole family, everyone around me, straight up said no, go back to work, right? And it was a hard decision. I honestly almost went back to work because, you know, I'm like, you know, I have this new precious little baby. I need to be able to provide for the. But it was actually my husband. He was the only one, and he actually never hesitated, because, you know, when I was so stressed about it, I was like, "Do I go back to work, or should I just continue doing drawings for people?" Because during that time, I was booked 2-3 months ahead. You know, my work schedule. If I looked at it, I had a lot of drawings left to do, right? And so my husband was the only person who was straight up like, "No, you're not going to go back to work for the studio. You're going to continue to do this," right? And then so I was like, "But this is not stable, and we have like a small little baby that we need to
Mhm.
keep alive."
Mhm.
Buying infant milk for it, you know. So, but my husband was just so adamant. I was the one super hesitating. I was gonna go back to work, but he was just like, "No, that's not what you're going to do," you know. And you know, often, you know, people had them up, you just to encourage you. But what my husband did was, during that time in our life, we only had like $1,000 left in our life between the two of us. Okay, but what he did was he took out all that money and gave it to me. And I was just like, what? Right? And then he was just like, you take this small amount of savings and you start your business. And like but that was the deciding point for me. I was like, wow, you trust me to the point that and you're giving me our whole savings to start my business. And so that was it for me. I was like, okay, no going back. I told my family I quit my job. I'm starting my business, and my whole family, especially like my mom, they were not impressed. Because, you know, I got the lecture like, well, look at the menu. That's why you're taking this risk at this time in your life where it's so pivotal to actually have money, you know, because my baby, and you know, we have an apartment. So like a lot of people were really against it, but that was about 10 years ago. No, not 10 years. Oh my God, 10 years ago. What am I talking about? 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then you know, of course, that's when I really started taking it seriously, you know, taking a lot more inquiries, started advertising myself a lot more. And business started out, you know, quite slow, but it was enough to keep us afloat, you know, just enough to, you know, put warm food on the table and pay our rent. We, you know, don't have the money for luxury, but we were still happy. And honestly, I was so much happier. And yeah, but so, you know, of course, that was like another part part of the biggest challenge is to actually just be able to drop whatever society is telling you and to just actually really put into action. Because as a child, don't let people kill that dream. And then when you become an adult, it's actually putting it into action now. So there was that, and then but what I mean by when I was like, oh, everything went up in flames is I mean that literally. Because like it got to a point at first when I first started my business, it had to do a lot with advertising, constantly talking about what you do. And you like at times I even had to like do free work for other people just so they can advertise me too. So it starts out with all of that, and then it started building it up to, okay, not doing free work anymore, but you could do community work. Okay, I actually do a lot of community work, which I will touch base on later. But then you start valuing yourself. You like when you first start a business like this, you start, yeah, it's a whole learning process of learning your own value, and being able to not be ashamed to put a price tag on your value. Okay, that I think that's something that a lot of artists, young artists, rising artists still need to learn, is that do not be ashamed to put a price tag on your value. Do not let other people tell you how to price your work. Okay, that's something I learned the hard way. But now that I'm here, I'm just like, okay, this is what the price is, and that's it.
Yes, I have to say, I totally agree with you about that. And one of the people in my life that really taught me that was my
Mhm.
best friend. And she always reminded me, you have to know your value. I totally agree with that. And I love your story because I really do want the audience and people to know that in those 5 years, like you said, it got to the point where, after rejecting a full scholarship to a great school, private school, right? And then going to, like you said, Sac City or going to college to get your degree, and knowing that the school systems are not made for
Mhm.
artists of any kind. It's made for the traditional
Absolutely.
jobs, like
Mhm.
you said, like lawyers, teachers, nurses, and they're not catered towards that. And thank you, Linda, for mentioning, yeah, your mom wasn't impressed, your mom was impressed, my parents are not impressed when we want to pursue music, because I was a music therapy major, so definitely they're like, what are you doing with your life? But I really love the fact that you said, at one point, you know you were unhappy and you were forced to decide, right? Am I going to go back to that job and take the stability with a new baby, right? With a brand new
Mhm.
baby.
Yes.
But your husband basically said no. He knew, right? He knew that you were unhappy. You knew you were unhappy, but he was like, no, here is a lot for last of our savings, less than $1,000. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, that you did enough money, right? To even
Mhm.
survive on for the next month or two, or even survive on period. And, you know, there's just that like you said, undying flame, that determination inside, that okay, we just got to go for it. And you're right, when in the beginning you do have to do a lot of free work or
Mhm.
networking and trying to talk over and over again about yourself. But I love that you have learned that there's a price,
Yeah.
right? A price tag and a value to what you do, and that it's okay to say, hey, my work is worth this much and my time is worth this much. Because again, if we don't define our own value in this
Mhm.
process, we can get taken advantage of, or we do a lot of free work and then we
Mhm.
don't create that other stability point of having income for our family, ourselves, and our children, because we have to also eat too. Yes, noodles is
Yes.
fine, you know. Yes, okay, but sometimes you get kind of tired and you want to eat something different, a little bit, maybe bacon or something. So, I realized that with this value that we have to set on ourselves and our work, not everybody's willing and open to accept that, but we have to still push forward and put that
Mhm.
value there. And you're right, is 99% of everybody out there is going to be like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Right? But you might just have that one person like your husband or somebody that says, you know what, I believe in what you do, or you believe in what you do. So it brings me to the next question. Thank you for sharing, your full journey. Is now you say you're still going, you're unstoppable. You said this earlier, you're unapologetic and you're coming back bigger than your setback. So please let our fans, your audience know, what did you gain from, or what have you learned about yourself about being unstoppable, unapologetic, and coming back bigger than your setbacks. So sometimes we don't always recover
Mhm.
from these setbacks, a lot of setbacks. Because I know I definitely still face them today, and we have to just keep going. So how do we help people to see your determined spirit that you have for being a dreamer, an artist, and the person that you are, and your mindset?
Um, okay, this is actually like I said, throughout the journey, you learn a lot from like the little challenges that you go through. Yeah. Um, but I feel like often people let like setbacks prevent them from going forward, or like it just completely stop them because okay, so like for example, because after I started my business for the first 5 years, we were living with my parents during that time, and their house caught on fire, right? So this is just an example of what I mean by keep going forward, right?
Mhm.
So during that time we were living there, and all my work equipment up to that time with 5 years, working in my field, yeah, I rely on my equipment because that's the whole business, right? But and then when my parents' house caught on fire, everything went up in flames, and I mean, so there's the whole business. It's all gone, So it's like everything that I needed to make the business work is ashes now. So it's like then it comes back, that's my setback. It's like, oh shoot, what do I do now? Everything's gone that I need to make my business work is gone. That was my mindset, right after the fire. I was like, this is it. The business is gone, right? And then so that was the setback, and then it took a while, a lot of grieving of like, wow, I built this whole business and how it's just all gone. And then it's, let yourself grieve. I think that's so important. When there's a setback, let yourself grieve. um my advice personally would be, not to just like, oh, pretend to be strong and jump back up and be like, oh, I'm fine, I'm just gonna do everything again. Let yourself grieve, because that grieving process is going to teach you a lot, because going through allowing myself to grieve and be like, I lost everything in the business to the fire, it really actually made me grow up a lot, because then I realized that the business is not gone as long as I'm not gone. It's not the equipments that went up in flames. That's not the business. That's what keeps the business running. But I am the business. If I don't, you know, so,
Right.
but if I let those flames burn my will, then the business will truly be done. So grieve, but don't stay in that process forever. Okay. You're supposed to grieve to heal. Okay. Not grieve to like, let it kill you more. So that's when it started healing for me. That's when I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to start it all over again. And, through the grieving process, I was able to like learn that, um, to really be able to find that unapologetic inner child now. Because when I reflected all the way back to that, me as a child, I didn't have the knowledge I have now. And yet, why is it that me back then, I just knew I wanted to be an artist. I didn't know how to get there, and now I am already there. The only setback is that everything, so it's like, when you get set back, just remember that what is gone is mainly just the physical things, but don't let it be that your knowledge got set back, so don't let yourself get set back because of circumstances that you cannot control, so I mean, like I started with nothing but a dream as a child, and I was unstoppable, unapologetic. That's where I got where I am now, So
Mhm.
I made my dreams by like scouring blindly with only just wit. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it, mom. So like, why am I stopping now when I'm here now with the knowledge? And like honestly, with the huge support system, because during the fire, a lot of people came in together to help my family and us rise back up. They gave us clothes, they gave us money, and so like that. Honestly, that there, the flames took everything, a lot of grieving, but the amount of people that poured in to help us really opened up my eyes about that there are people out there who will support you, like not just like monetarily, like people like other artists, especially other artists who they know what I do, um they all came together. They were like, "What did you lose? What did you need? You know, I have it. I will give it to you." And they gave me things absolutely for free. And that was like artists is supporting artists, and that taught me, like, opened up my eyes about what an honest support system I have now that I didn't even have as a child. You know, so that's where I gained back the unapologetic, unstoppable part of me, and that's I chose to rebuild. So that's what I mean by like the coming back was much bigger than the setback. You know, like the fire took everything from me, but it couldn't take my will, and so that's why, yeah. So
No, that's wonderful. Thank you, Boone. And thank you, Paku, for tuning in. Absolutely. Just want to acknowledge that, Moon, you are inspiration. Thank you, Pahua, for saying hello. And yes, Paku, you're right. Grieve to heal. That is definitely something I wrote down right here is that we have to let ourselves grieve to heal and not live in that grieving process because we can do that. And a lot of people forget that, or maybe not understand that the grieving process isn't just when somebody dies or somebody departs or the breakup, but we also grieve sometimes when our belongings that are so sentimental to us goes away, but yet we have to keep in mind, like you said, is you are the business, right? Your knowledge is your business. Your knowledge is still a part of you, and that didn't burn. You were part of the fire. Your things were. So there are huge setbacks, I think, that we all go through when we are pursuing our dreams, our passions, and like you said, being an artist, a dreamer. But we have to come back stronger, and we have to be able to grieve to heal. That's a wonderful saying. And I hope that people, like I said, the viewers see that we sometimes grieve to become depressed, grieve to hold ourselves back. And I had a tendency to do this too. I admit, for a long time in my life, I grieve to blame myself and maybe to blame even others, and to be angry and to be upset at the world and myself, that things were unfair. But of course, we know now life is unfair, right? life is unfair. Life is about setbacks. Life is about the unfortunate circumstances, and that's where it, like you said, brings you to be stronger. So I also have here that you said, moving right along, that you are an experimental artist. You explore all forms of art, and art is one of the most beautiful forms in life that's endless. And as long as there's imagination, there is art. So that in itself, like everything that I've like learned from you so far, I'm like, oh, that could definitely go in a book. I can reference that and I can share that with my students or with my clients and stuff. But in your opinion, what is an experimental artist? What is that like?
Actually, that's like a term that I made up for myself. Like, I call myself an experimental artist rather than just saying, "Oh, I'm an artist," um, because okay, when I started my whole career, I often get questions, even from like other artists. They're like, "So, what do you actually really do?" Because I first started with photography, digital drawing,
Yeah.
and then I went into film, and then editing, and then now I wrote a book. So it's kind of like, people are like, "What do you really do, Moon?" Because it sounds like you do a little bit of everything, right? So, and then I dived into a little bit of fashion and making my own things, dresses, props. But so that's why instead of just saying, "Oh, I'm an artist," or like, "Oh, I'm a photographer or a digital artist," I just now tell people that I'm an experimental artist. But what I mean by that is, I see why it could be a little bit confusing when I say that, but it just basically means that I do a little bit of everything that I'm curious and passionate about. But I think the most important part of being an experimental artist is that I'm telling people that I would never absolutely stop learning, and that I would dive into everything that intrigues me or interests me. So I will experiment in it. So that's what I mean by being an experimental artist. It's me, just my way of telling people that, I will always keep my mind and my heart open and my passion and my dreams to be able to keep filling it up, and it's my way of saying that I would never claim that I mastered something, because I feel like, the moment you're like, I mastered this, I'm so good at this, then that's the moment you really stop growing. And that's not what I want to do in my career choice, So to me, I just believe that there's always something to learn. and if it intrigues you, then dive into it. You know, so that's what I mean by being an experimental artist. But I can see why it's easily like, you know, because just me being transparent, other artists have been like, so that means that you're really not passionate about everything. But the difference is that, you know, whenever I do dive into something that interests Korea, it's not that I learn it to just know the process of it. I dive into, I'm curious about it, but I put a little bit of me in it, like a twist of it, you know, my own twist in it. So that is what is the artist inside of me, is that, you know, I may learn to do filmmaking, but usually the subject around it would be something that I that interests me, or that it's really me, you know. So like I went into photography, digital artwork, film, and writing a book. But the difference is when people see the results of what I experimented on, they know that Moon made it. And that is what is important, because no matter what I dive into, I leave my signature. And that's the beauty of being an artist.
That's wonderful. I love how you said that, is that there's no limit. And, you know, thank you, Baku, for recognizing that too, is that there is no limit. Absolutely not. And we have to be open minded. Yes, Baku. And I love how you said you put your own style, you put yourself in it, a signature or like some form of your stamp, right? Of
Mhm.
you into it. And like, I think a lot of artists or a lot of people have done, just like with anything, is that they put their twist or they put their mark on it because they want to own it, right? It's a part
Yeah.
of their creativity. So I definitely see that. And you answered, you know, all my questions about exploring your work. And definitely when you don't limit yourself, you absolutely will allow yourself to find different things that, like you said, like, I love how you say you're curious and it excites you. You know, it helps you grow as an artist, and not just in, like you said, photography, but in digital art and everything else. So I was also intrigued that you shared in your bio that art is one of the most beautiful forms in life that's endless, right? And you said that as long as you have imagination, there is art. So, in your opinion, what makes art the most beautiful forms in life that's endless? Um, what do you mean by that? I'm curious about that statement.
Um, that's like just a personal opinion of mine, but I
Uh-huh.
feel that it's how should I put this? Okay, so to me, art is one of the most beautiful form in life that's endless, because it's actually, when you really think about it, art is everywhere. Almost everything requires an artist. You know, like for example, my shirt, my dress, my earrings, like even
Mhm.
just the colors of the walls, or like just the small curve design of a house. You know, an artist is behind it all, and that's why it's so beautiful. Because, you know, at the same time, when you're like, I want to be an artist, everyone says no, but everyone doesn't realize that art exists everywhere, you know, and art is not limited to just a pencil and a brush on a canvas. Because I think instantly when people are like, I want to be an artist, people are like, oh, you want to do like painting and sell it at like an auction, right? And I feel like it's time to take that stigma out and, you know, have people realize that art is actually everywhere, and being an artist is not limited to, you know, just drawing. And that I feel like it's so underappreciated. But once you really start appreciating it, it becomes such a beautiful form, because you start seeing it everywhere, you know. So, you know, as that's why I said, as long as imagination exists, then there's art. Because I'm talking about like changes and like improvements and signatures of like specific artists now. So, you know, as I mentioned earlier, you know, I've tried so many art forms, but every time I do put a little bit of myself, then considering how, you know, like if every artist did that, then considering how unique we all are, it becomes forever changing and endless. And that's why it's so beautiful, because it's something that would never stay just the same.
Yes, I definitely see that. I can recognize that now, especially when you said art is everywhere around you, and even with the house designs. I think of like cars, like
Uh-huh.
how car designs evolve, how houses evolve, how like you said, the clothes that we wear evolve, our earrings and the way we look evolve, and sometimes they bring back old styles to, right, and to kind of like the bell bottom stages, or like certain things just come back, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're kind of like, that was in 10 years ago, now it's in again. So definitely art is ever evolving, it's everywhere, it is absolutely endless. I can't even think about where wherever you look, there's an artist
Yes.
that's behind it, and now I'm gonna definitely look for that. So you said here also that um, you know, what does it mean, or my question is, excuse me, is what does it mean to have this imagination as a part of your life in your photography, in your
Mhm.
storytelling, writing, painting, drawing? Because there's so much imagination to everything that I've seen your work that you do. Can you explain a little bit about what that imagination is like for you? That process.
Oh my gosh.
We're picking your brain, Millie. We're picking your brain.
That's picking into like this really um that's a mess that I still have to juggle with. Like my brain never stops. Like it's like I said, art is everywhere and every little thing inspires
Mhm.
me. And
Mhm.
I guess my best example would be like my brain is like Hobby Lobby. So Hobby
I
Lobby.
love it.
Yeah, when you go
Hobby Lobby.
yeah, when you
I'm
go
gonna think of you every time.
when you go in there, there's just so much. Like there's a department for fabric, and you're like, oh, I want to make a dress. And then you walk into like the paint aisle, and you're like, oh, I want to make a painting. That's my brain is like, you see it, and you just it inspires you. When we see other artwork, it inspires you to keep going, to want to do this thing, like these new projects. And if we're talking about my process of imagination, it's endless and it's a mess. It's a mess, but it's a mess that makes sense to me. Versus if I was to like be able to, you guys are gonna be like, you need to go see a doctor. But it's like it's a crazy mess and chaos that makes sense to me. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's a long talk, but my best example would be my brain works like Hobby Lobby, or like when I go to Home Depot, suddenly I want to build a house now. But that's just how it is, and I feel like that's actually the brain of most working artists. But yeah, but like when it comes to like doing the work, there's really no reason why I do things. It's just I simply enjoy it, and but if like I have to like really put it into the simplest form for anybody to understand it. Like even sometimes, I'm like it's all just chaos in here. Sometimes I have to like reel back from that and be like, okay, what is it that you really want to do? Because there's so much going on up here. But if I have to dig really deep, I do find that often I just have to reflect back onto my portfolio now. Then I really start to see the pattern of what is it that I'm really passionate about, because that's when you actually put it to work. Because there could be 1,000 ideas up here, but you only do one. Then just reflect back to your own portfolio, and you would really capture what is it that you really enjoy doing and why you do what you do. And I realized that a lot of the things that I do, it has to do with capturing memories, evaluating self, and twisting reality with a little bit of fantasy. And
Yeah.
I realized that an element that is pretty prevalent in most of my portfolio is spiritual. So like spiritual, like I literally mean like
Mhm.
I think that these forms just best suits myself as an artist because, like I said, there's chaos up here, but when you really want to figure out what you really do and why you do what you do, just look back at the things that you have created, the things that you
Mhm.
have put your time to do it. Then you will really know where you are, because like I said, it's Hobby Lobby up here, but you will know because you will constantly go back to visit that one place, out of
Yes.
all the chaos that is up here. So like I've done a lot of things, things that I release, things that I don't release, personal work. But I guess a good example that maybe some people are here specifically to hear me talk about it is my book Memoirs of a Honeymoon Girl, which is
Yes.
the most recent project that I'm actually doing. And if you don't know, then that is a book that I just finished writing. And today is actually the last final day of pre-orders that I actually closed pre-orders, but I actually just opened it up again because so many people are messaging me about it. But today's the last day to do the pre-order. But I just want to say, like, okay, so when it comes to memoirs, I feel like that's the best example I have right now that I combined all the chaos in here to do one project, and the results was memoirs. Because out of all the art form that I've dwelled into and all the chaos of my imagination, um, memoirs includes all of that into one project because I wrote it. I did the editing, in which I have a wonderful editing team that backed me up on it. But it included drawings because I did all the drawings for it. There is about 10 to 15, I don't remember the exact number, but artwork that I personally did for it. In those drawings, it included photo manipulation, editing, me personally drawing things from small scratch. I wrote it, I launched it, and I'm doing the marketing for it. So it's like, and then I shot and edited a book trailer for it. So, like, if you really think about it, then all the chaos in here can be organized into a very, very personal project. And then memoirs would be the best example that I can give people of what I mean by chaos into like something that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yes, definitely I could see that. And thank you for, I'm gonna just acknowledge because I know that we are
Mhm.
like about hour and 20 minutes in, but I'm gonna acknowledge, yes, Macy, yes, we're gonna definitely talk about memoirs, along with all of this. And she did mention a lot about it, right? And yes, Baku, it's very true. We could definitely put a lot of our Hobby Lobby ideas in our brain into a project like a book or a script or artwork or something. And so definitely we can all see that is Moon's creativity is now put into a book. And you answered a lot of the questions about your love for digital artwork and your writing and your videography and the different ways you can manipulate the pictures. And so I love your work and that it incorporates that fantasy portion, right? And
Mhm.
like you said, that spiritual part where the shaman and the different traditional Hmong background that we come from,
Mhm.
and that it makes sense that you titled it the way you did, right? The Memoirs of a Haunted Hmong Girl, because sometimes we are afraid to talk about those things, but when you write it into a book like this, then I don't want to okay, I'm not going to spoil anything. Okay, I'm just gonna say in general. Okay, I promise not to do that, but so that's definitely an example of all of your creativity into one for sure.
Mhm.
So we will definitely answer questions at the very end. I just have a couple more. We're almost done. We just have a couple more questions. And please write your questions and we will answer as many as we can. But before we go, we want to make sure that Moon please share where they can find your artwork, your book, your pre-order. Like you said, you had to reopen it up today. So please let them know where can they find your work at.
Um, well, I have a website. My website is where you can purchase and pre-order the books and all like the merchandises and things that I make. But if anything, the simplest way that you can follow all of my work is on my Facebook, my public Facebook page, which is just facebook.com Moon Artist LLC. You can follow me there, and then you'll see all my updates there.
Awesome. Thank you. And then just to talk a little bit more about memoirs, I'm going to go off the script a little bit, but can you please? Okay, so I don't want to spoil everything, so I'm going to just say, Moon, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about with the book. But what inspired you to write this book, and what do you want your audience to learn or experience by reading this book and listening to this book?
Um, okay, I'm laughing because often like a lot of people they're like trying to get like that behind the scene like Moon. What is the
Yeah.
true story behind it?
Like what happened, right?
And
We
like
talked about this before too.
and I'm still like trying to awkwardly navigate that.
Right?
But okay, so you guys, I would definitely be talking more about the true story because, as you guys know, as I've been honest and transparent about memoirs, is
Yep.
based on a true story. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you know, I would definitely be talking more about the true story behind it, the inspiration, how I change and transform the true story into a book that uh, can actually be enjoyable or like okay because like you said, this is such a taboo topic in the Hmong community, especially in the spiritual community. Like often people are like, don't talk about something like this. Something like this is not something you make entertainment out of it. And before I even launched the book, just the moment I was like, I'm going to write a book about this topic, I got a lot of no's. And now it's not just like my family. My family was a definite no, like, don't you do it. Like my mom is always like, goodbye. You're always trying to find ways to go against everybody.
Yeah, yeah. What were the no's about? I'm curious. Like, What because I know that a lot of people, like you said, they say it's taboo, right, to talk about this
Mhm.
subject. Can you tell or share with us the topic, the taboo topics and the nose? Like what's behind the nose?
What's behind the nose is okay. As you guys have seen the cover, the book is it's called Memoirs of a Haunted Girl, but the book is about the haunting between like a human spirit and a dragon spirit, in which if you know monkey it's very taboo to talk about because it is a very like it's a haunting that can be prolonged, with just mentioning or talking about it. Because you know, Shanjo know that Shanjo they can hear everything, and the moment you speak of it, then they come, right? So that's where the taboo and the topic came from. Because I'm not invalidating anybody's experience from the past, or if they experience anything like really terrible from it, like their family members being haunted, or even if they passed away from it. I'm not invalidating your story. I think that most of the no's actually came stemming from people's personal experience and their fears of it. And so they instill their own fears and their own personal stories into it. That's why it's such a relatable book that should be talked about, because I haven't I the interesting thing is I never released a synopsis to what the book is about. I released a drawing, the cover of it, and then instantly people just caught on. And that to me was the proof that we need to talk about this, because that's exactly why we need. I never released the synopsis, but
Really?
the moment they saw the dragon and the girl in the monk clothes, they knew what the book was about. And they're putting their own fears into it, in which that is completely okay, because this book is actually about overcoming that.
Mhm.
And that's why it's important to talk about. But like I said, most of the no's came from people having their own personal opinion about this topic, and that's why it's taboo to talk about, because often when people experience a haunting like this, they're often silenced. Now, yeah, because like I said, the belief is that if you talk about it, if you mention it, if you keep thinking about it, then the haunting's going to come back. So that's why, from a spiritual perspective, that's why I got a lot of no's. And a lot of no's came from like shamans, because some of them are like, you don't know what you're talking about, and you don't know what you're diving into, but I promise you guys, I do know what I'm doing, and I'm confident in what I'm doing. So, but I never took it personally, even when they said no to me, because I know what I'm doing. This book I have actually been working on for over 10 years. And it was just never the right time to release it or to completely finish it and put it out into public. At first I did struggle a lot with actually really doing it, but once the first brick was set, that was it. The whole wall is going to be built, and there was no going back from it. So like I said, once the book is out and you do enjoy it, you get to dive into the story and actually be able to overcome your own fears of it. You're going to realize that it's not as much as you think, and it's not any less, but it's definitely a book that the way I wrote it, hopefully it's that it so that could be in China lo you can still get something from it. And so that go, even if you just read it for enjoyment of, oh my god, like a Hmong author wrote this, you can still enjoy it. Or it's enjoyable from every perspective. But I didn't write this book to make everybody get haunted. Okay, I think that's like the biggest criticism. Like you're going to like sway people or go find like dragon boyfriends. Please don't do that. But it's a book that everybody can learn a little bit of something from. So like I said, I will definitely talk more about the truth, the inspiration, my own journey of writing this book and how it was for me after the book is finally out.
Yeah.
But that's what I can give to you guys right now, is that I completely understand if you're afraid of the book and the story and you don't want to read it and you don't support it. That's completely fine, because I don't want to invalidate your own experience. Because but just know that from where I came from, then there is just goodness in my heart.
Yeah. Definitely. And I know I have a few closing questions here, but I do want to acknowledge that I do have a question here, and if you could see it too, Moon and Macy, thank you for your question. So I wanted to ask, wanted to have Moon answer questions at the very end, but I think it's more appropriate to have these questions now before I actually ask her last few questions about her valuable lessons that she's learned. So here, Moon, are you a shaman or have a sixth sense?
Um,
Thank you, Macy, for the. I think it's Macy for the question.
um, um,
You can say yes or no. You are totally. There are people, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm very transparent as well, is some people are very open. I'm very open. I do have a sixth sense. I do practice spiritual work. I actually do spiritual stuff. Just to share a little bit, Moon, I don't think we really talked about this in our previous conversations, but I actually am a medium and I do work with other shamans, and I'm very spiritually inclined, and I do have spiritual sessions. I limit myself to once to twice a week, every other week or so, and it is very exhausting. It is, if not exhausting is the word. It does drain a lot from your energy, but I feel like it's part of who you are. Like you said, I can relate to the whole Hobby Lobby thing. Is my mind runs in like so many different things, and one of those parts of me is spiritual, and a lot of people don't know because I have to be confidential in the work that I do. But I
mhm,
meet with people like every other week, and I speak to them about past loved ones and people that have gone through struggles and things that they definitely do not want to talk about to a counselor,
mhm,
in the human form. In a way, they want to talk about more spiritual stuff and guidance. So definitely, Moon, if you want to share that you are a shaman or you're called to be one or you have a sixth sense, please do. If you don't, you could just say I'm saving it for another day, because we are going to talk a little bit about your book launch party and your VIP meet and greet that we'll be doing in December here in Sacramento. So, but are you a shaman? Do you want to answer that, or have sixth sense?
um, let's save that conversation for another day.
Yeah, see, I knew it. I knew it. So, Macy, thank you for your question. Definitely, I think we're going to talk about that in December, because we are definitely working on right now. If you don't know, a book launch party in December when she is here for the whole month of December. And thank you, Moon. You have okayed me to do a VIP meet and greet and host it for you, along with your friends who are going to do your book launch party here in Sacramento. So please stay tuned for more details of dates and times. Moon and I, we discussed about this the other day, that we are going to combine the big launch party, but
Wow.
we are also going to have a registration for people who want to meet you in person, uh, and before the big launch party. So it's kind of like a concert. If you want to do VIP meet and greet, then you can register, pay a different fee, and meet with you and have those one-on-one time, perhaps a couple hours before the big launch party. So we're gonna definitely do that with you, and then we'll have special. We're not going to say what it is yet, because we're going to save that surprise. We'll have special gifts and things for you if you do decide to become a VIP meet and greet registered guest. And so we are definitely going to launch that and have that in December. So stay tuned. We're super excited about that. And yes, Macy says she loves you. So
Is this how people do it?
yeah, right. Yes, I'm a K-pop. Yes, I'm a big BTS and
I'm sorry.
K-pop
I
fan.
live
So this
under
is
a rock, so
right.
I don't know. I'm like it was my husband. He's just like this to me all the time. I'm like, is he flicking me off? Until I found out this
Yeah,
actually means like a
yeah,
heart. I'm like,
yeah. It means,
oh.
yeah, it's the mini version of a heart, right? Pen Pen. Oh, where are you from? You said you wish you could meet Moon. Well, you know what? If you guys ever decide to come to California, and like I said, we don't have a specific date or time or location yet. We are deciding that soon, in the next hopefully week or two, and then we'll put up more information on Moon's site, on my Facebook, Project We Inspire, and we'll definitely give everybody that information, because we want everybody to celebrate the beautiful work that she does and she has completed, and we're so proud of her. And you're from Alaska. Wow. Okay. Um, well, you can still take a trip out here to California. I right, come over to California. We have lots of great things here in California that you can definitely experience. So please continue to ask your questions. I'm just going to ask a couple more of my closing questions. So, given that you have Moon experienced a journey of rises and falls and a lot of big lessons, what has been the most valuable lesson that you've learned through this journey so far? And you know why is it is so important for all artists and people to go through these lessons and to experience these rises and falls?
Um, I think that like when it comes to like life experience and like rise and falls, everyone takes it differently. But I think I pretty much covered it most of it already. But if anything, then I guess I would say just do things that will elevate you. And when people say things like, oh, just don't give up, be strong. Oftentimes, there's no self forgiveness in that, and I think that's one of the most important things. That's one of the most important, which goes back to my second brick, self love. Like when we say that, um, just you love yourself enough to give your chance to do things you want to do. But I feel like the most important things that we don't focus on when we say self-love and self-growth is that self-forgiveness, because sometimes you're going to go at a slower pace than other artists. It's like maybe I worked 5 years to build my career, and then this new artist rise, and next day she's successful. And then that's when we let it hurt ourselves. You're like, wow, I spent 5 years building this, and that person got it overnight. So that's where self-forgiveness comes into, and I feel like that's very, very important. And that's something that I would love for all new artists, or artists that have been working for over 60 years. It doesn't matter. It's just that you don't have self-forgiveness. Whether it's that somebody else did it to you, or you do it to yourself. And I think it's most of the time is that we do it to ourselves because we're our biggest critics. So if anything, I learned that, because like I said, grieve to heal, grieve, and just allow yourself to have that grieving process when things don't work out, when somebody gets it better than you. So to me, the life model that I live on is that vulnerability is your biggest strength.
Mm,
Because the reason I say that is because I with all the hardships I've gone through, if I didn't grieve, or if I wasn't vulnerable about it and vocal about it, I don't think I would have made it. And so that's why vulnerability to me is strength. Because, for example, like, the house fire, if I didn't talk about it, then nobody would have known. And then all these other artists wouldn't have helped me because they wouldn't have even known that I went through that. So to me, vulnerability is when you're vulnerable about what you're going through, then good things will happen. Trust me, good things will happen. And so I guess that's what it is for me, is that oftentimes people see it as people being vulnerable about it, or like they vocalize like just something like, oh, I'm stressed, then it instantly in their mind they're like, oh, you're weak. But no, if the fact that "Ko kataro bay" what you're going through, then that's what makes you strong, because that's what people don't have courage to do, is to be
mm,
vulnerable. So
mm,
that can be applied to being an artist too. The whole rising, becoming an artist, all the setbacks, is that I was vulnerable about my journey. And I think that that's something that people appreciate about it, is that I'm vocal about it. And it might annoy some people, but I feel that that's what we need, is to be vulnerable and to be transparent about what you're really doing. And when you apply that to yourself, then you can really get far.
yes, I totally agree with that. I've learned along this journey that it can annoy people, and I know that and they know who they are. I can annoy people that don't want to listen to our stories and our journey and what we've gone through. And a lot of people are like, okay, stop saying, just do it. No, actually, when you verbalize it, like you said, you go through that vulnerability state of just saying, okay, this is what I'm going through, but I'm going to get through it.
Mhm.
And sometimes verbalizing it, like you said, putting it on paper and doing all that, it definitely gives you a huge set of strengths and tools and skill
Yeah.
sets, and even connection to people that a lot of people avoid, or people don't even know that by speaking and giving yourself that voice, especially when you're vulnerable, most vulnerable, like you said, going through that fire, going through setbacks, going through losses, falls, and everything, it definitely allows people to see us if not see you as a real person. Like we are, right? As real as it can be. So let me see. It says here, Bucko says, yes, it absolutely starts from self-forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Once you forgive and accept, you'll be able to move on.
Yeah.
And for the ones who knows, I'm with you. Yes. For the ones that knows that self-forgiveness comes with you, once you forgive and truly accept the whole truth and
Mm-hmm.
nothing but the truth, the reality, then you can definitely move on. So my last question to you is that given everything that you've gone through, the lessons, the rises, the falls, and the things that have inspired you, what are some, and I know you said this throughout your whole interview, but what are some inspirational messages or advice that you would like to share with your fans today and with Project We Inspire before we end our interview today?
Um, like I said, self forgiveness. But if anything, you know what, like in life, especially when you tread on a path that means outside of the box, now, yeah, like oftentimes, like as the whole story, a lot of rejection, a lot of invalidation, a lot of outside forces, a lot of outside opinions. Even when you are successful, still a lot of people, no matter what, it just goes back to you. No matter what, outside people will always have an opinion, but
Mm-hmm.
just hold yourself above all of
Yeah.
that. You're gonna get a lot of opinions, even especially like when, for example, like now that I've established my business and myself as an artist, like even the people that back then were like, no, don't do it. Now they're the ones trying to teach me how to run my business.
That's so funny. You know what?
Yeah, like now they're the
That
ones.
goes for the record. That's now officially on the record. For the ones that didn't believe in your business are now trying to guide you to run your business. I
Yeah,
like that one. I like
yeah,
that one.
like now they're like, oh, you should do this. Or next
Hmm.
time, your next project, you should do it like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So now they're the ones saying that. But you know what? Just hold yourself above all of that, because well, just remember who built that empire. You did. So um because like everything I even with everything I said today, and maybe I'm an inspiration to you, maybe you absolutely despise me. It doesn't matter. Just know that outside forces are always going to be there, but just just take what will elevate you. And that would be my advice, because other people are always going to talk, other people are always going to have an opinion about what you do. But like honestly, like even people that, okay, I can absolutely say I do not hate anybody in my life, but there are some people that I'm like, but even them, I have come to a point in my life where even people that I kind of question what they're doing, if they say something that I find inspirational, I'm going to keep it. And that's what I mean by elevate yourself, and take whatever just works for you, because outside opinions will always be there. So yeah.
Absolutely. That's so true. Just take what's going to elevate you. I love that. I love that phrase. So Baku says here, so we're going to open it up a little bit too. And I know that this is usually our interviews are an hour long, but we know that because a lot of Moon's work is current right now, that we're allowing it to go to 2 hours. So for those of you who are like, oh my God, this is so long. So I do apologize if it is a little bit longer than usual, but I want to acknowledge the ones here that are, providing feedback for us. Baku says, yes, don't learn not to let other voices affect you, for
Mhm.
sure, because we can definitely allow others to shape how we feel and think about what we love to do, and even stop us sometimes. So we got to learn how to keep ourselves in a very focused mindset. I agree with you. It's always the ones who didn't believe in you all of a sudden wasn't, well, yeah, wants to be a part of your success. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, once they start seeing you get yourself out there and making money or whatever they deem as a success, then they're like, oh, I want to be a part of that. I want to be with you. I want to hang out with you. I want to know you. So that's why I think I've also learned to for the audience and for Moon is I totally like am um what I really do see people who are with me before I was anything, during, and even after, whether I was anything or not. And I know the people who know that is that I don't have to have a dollar sign,
Mhm.
a big house, or a big chunk of money to represent who I am, or to drive a nice car. I don't believe in that at all. It's nice to have those things.
Mhm.
But I do know that, like you said, success is all about your empire. It doesn't just means the monetary things that you can show. It's the impact and the different goals and dreams that you have that makes up who you are, and what you have to offer the world. And it doesn't always have to be, like I said, and what you said too, is it doesn't always have to be money.
Mhm.
So I think that's where we can definitely agree today, is that all of our journeys are very different, and it doesn't always have to show monetarily. So
Mhm.
Curving asks, Moon, what is your next goal after the Memoirs of a Haunted Hmong Girl book ends?
Let's make a movie.
Yes, I was hoping. Thank you for asking that, Kerr. I was
um,
gonna say, I'm thinking about maybe a movie. I would love to see what kind of movie? I'm curious.
oh, um, okay, I'm just. I
Throwing it out there.
I would love to actually make memoirs into a series, a film series, but that's definitely a very long goal from now.
How about Netflix? I would love it if you did a
Hashtag
series.
Netflix.
Yeah, hashtag Netflix, please.
I
You know
love
what, they
Netflix.
right? It would be wonderful if we can have, because they started incorporating um K drama, Chinese drama. Yes, yay, Kerr. Yes, if we can have a first Hmong series,
Right?
right? Memoirs of a Haunted Hmong Girl, and you know how they have like 13, 14 episodes. Like, let's do
Mhm.
that. Let's right. Why not? Let's audition Hmong actors or
Mhm.
Asian actors to do a series and represent our community. Because I think Netflix, yes, hashtag Netflix, right? And I definitely see it. I definitely see a movie and episode, and just a series of that, and I definitely would watch it, because I think that the more shows that we have out there to represent all of us, and there's so much diversity in our community that Netflix can definitely represent. So
Mhm.
hopefully one day Netflix will see this somewhere.
Hashtag Netflix. Every time you see
Hashtag,
me
yeah,
post.
just hashtag Netflix, and hopefully we can definitely come forward with a Memoirs of a Haunted Hmong Girl series, and I'm sure a lot of people will love it. Lucy Paku says, I agree. It's always the ones who didn't believe in you, always the wants to be a part of your sex. Yes, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it would be so cool. Yes, Yi. Oh my goodness, right? I think that this is the great timing, where so many people are into the K dramas and K-pop music, and I really truly believe this is one of the reasons why I'm a huge BTS or K drama person or K-pop person, is they're paving the way
Mhm.
for sure. Just like you know, what's the one movie that when I just forgot it right now in my head, but Jolla Club was one of the big movies that came a long time ago. And Crazy Rich Asians, that's what I was trying to think of it. Where they paved the way to allow a lot of us in the Asian community to bring about our work. So yes, put on Hmong drama in Netflix. Yes, absolutely. We definitely want some. I would love to see Hmong drama, the fantasy version, like what you have with this book, to be on Netflix. So fingers crossed, we'll put it in the universe, right?
Manifesting.
Yeah, manifest it. That's how you do it. Manifest it. Um, what are some other plans you want to do in the future other than the book, the movie, and what else?
I'm actually starting, not officially yet, but I'm actually starting my next project. I haven't fully decided if it's going to be another book or an actual film series, but I'm like trying to
It's okay. Yeah.
because like I haven't officially put it out there
Yeah.
yet, but um it's going to be exciting. That's all I can say. I'm super excited to hear
Oh,
about it, but I won't go into details about what it is yet. But it actually is going to be like like branching off a project that I did in the past, and which was like really quick, really small. Not a lot of people knew about it, but it's yeah. That's all I can really say about it.
okay. Stay tuned, everybody, because I'm pretty sure everybody's like, what is it? What is it? So, other than the Netflix special, right, that we would love to have a Hmong drama series. Oh my goodness, I would love that. Netflix, hashtag Netflix. That we are definitely looking forward to all of your work that's coming in this future and next year, whenever you have planned. Yeah, because I was like, I wonder how much we can spoil today, how much we can get out of Moon today. But I said no. We need to save some for the book launch and the VIP meet and greet, and and we also want people to tune in later on to see what you have in store for us, because definitely you have captured our attention with the lovely work that you put forward, and we totally appreciate everything that you do, and thank you for being the voice in so many ways through your artwork, your writing, your photography, just everything you're doing right now definitely represents a lot of us who maybe haven't had a chance or couldn't or really didn't say what we needed to say before, and so we want to thank you for all that. And yes, we're all excited, so thank you, Moon, for sharing your beautiful journey with us today. I totally appreciate everything that you're willing to talk about and share with our audience. Please, everybody, support her. Go to her website. We will definitely put more of her information in on Project Be Inspired, and also on the advertisement or on this video later on. We'll type her information in, and remember to get our book, because our pre-order, she's extending it for those of you who have been asking for it, right? Because I know that it was supposed to be closed, I think you said on the 22nd or so, but I saw that, and so now you're opening it again. So I definitely still want to order your trinkets, your bookmarks, and I saw your keychain that's coming out. So we're all excited. We can't wait for more of your work to come out. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We will definitely keep tabs on Moon, and again, tune in for the book launch party in December and the VIP meet and greet that we'll be hosting with Moon in December. So thank you, everybody. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to write to us and text us. We appreciate all of your love and support. Have a great Sunday. Be safe out there. And remember, if you can't get vaccinated, wear your mask, okay? All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.